Welcome, folks. I'm hoping today to fledge out some of the ideas and challenges with the idea of education. What is education and what is its purpose? It's something that we've got so much information around, so many critical debates. We've got John Locke from the past who suggested that its role is creating a person with virtue and reasoning, not necessarily about fostering passion. Montessori, who wants education to be thought of as an aid to life and a development of the whole person from childhood to adulthood. Martin Luther King, he can be quoted back when he was in college. Education must enable one to sift and weigh evidence, to discern the true from the false, the real from the unreal, and the facts from the fiction. As we can see, and we are all aware, the purpose of education has been greatly contested from its inception. Individuals, governments, experts have all questioned its process. Growth, morals, ethics, skills, knowledge, and the contribution that members have to society are just some of the key points of this contention. I want to pose to you today that the real meaning and the purpose of education is to develop the ability and desire to challenge thought. As Martin Luther King has suggested, we must learn to question. Without the ability to question, creativity, innovation, collaboration, and lifelong learning will all stop. In the Huffington Post, Dr. Rebecca Pellicos writes that why questions. These why questions for children help make sense of the world around them. Let's make sure that as educators we don't squash that desire to explore. We need to make sure that the student or the learner becomes the centre of attention. We need to understand what makes them tick and why, and they need to be the conductor of the band. Managing this will make them successful. Successful learners will have the capacity to learn. They'll be active in their own learning. They'll be able to plan independently and also collaborate and communicate ideas. Make sense of their own world, develop their pathways and goals. They'll be motivated and they'll have the essential skills in literacy and numeracy and ICT. They'll be logical thinkers and they'll be innovative, resourceful and creative. All of this will lead to creating a meaningful experience for the learner that's relatable. How can we create this for successful learners, and how can we assess this? The Australian government already understands that using assessment as a learning tool, allowing students to reflect, monitor and develop future goals in education is important. We need to implement the same ideas for our students as we do for us, just as we would want ourselves assessed in our professional lives. We don't want to wait until it's too late. Instead of assessing high stress, high stakes, summative results, let's incorporate formative or developmental assessments that give regular feedback, allowing intervention with individual students and individualizing their programs to prevent them from falling through the gaps. The ability to do this will help to make what they're learning meaningful. Australia's chief scientist, Alan Finkel, writes that maths is not just the language of science and technology, but the foundation of commerce, the core of engineering, and the bread and butter of every trade, from cooking to construction. Providing material that's relatable and understandable for the student is going to benefit them. Focusing on developing that content with the learner's goals in mind will make their transition from school through life into employment easier. The education system needs to be designed as an enabler for success. So, what do the government want? What is their vision? After all, they're providing the funding and the framework that educators implement. They want to develop healthy, well-rounded members of society that contribute to economic growth. They want smarter, fairer, and more prosperous societies. With prosperity and economic growth at the forefront, it's important that we also understand what it is that industry requires. Industry ranked the need for learning, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and interpersonal skills as the top 5 skills and attributes needed from its employees. As I mentioned earlier, many of these are hampered without the ability to question. All of the stakeholders within the education system and further into society need to have a voice. They all need to have the ability to question and challenge. When information is presented, they need to have that voice. But all stakeholders need to be in support of a system that supports the students and their desire to learn, succeed, grow, and take charge of their own outcomes. How can we have this happen? Well, we need to ask how. We need to ask how can it happen before we ask the how much. We need to implement ideas in a timely manner to keep on track with the fast pace of the modern world. The Australian curriculum already has written in there that they want students to develop the capability in critical and creative thinking as they learn in all learning areas at all stages of development, creating autonomous, confident, and motivated problem solvers that value taking charge of their own learning. Our education system wants us to be critical. It's now society's role to devote themselves to a philosophy that challenges, motivates, develops individual and learners' passions, and puts their well-being at the forefront, creating a positive experience in education for now and into the future. I'd like to pose the following questions to you, and I'd love to see your responses in the forum. As educators, why are we here? What is your role? Does the current education system care enough for student well-being? And is the implication of having broad aims and structure in education that we will not cover aspects in enough detail? Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation. I look forward to hearing.